guys, welcome to Cult Film Interview, the podcast where we discuss the films you love but no one else gets, and we see if they still hold up. Tonight, how funky is your chicken? How loose is your goose? Because our goose is totally loose. Because we're talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So let's start the show.
It sounds so different coming from you. It's so less innocent.
Hey guys, thanks for joining the cult. We really appreciate it. Do us a favor, head over to iTunes, leave us a review. We will give you a shout out at the end of the show. We got 2 to do.
Shout out.
So make sure you stick around for that. And then head over to cultfilmandreview.com, pick up a t-shirt, and then put in your request for films for us to review. You never know. They might just be the next film we review. And then on July 5th, which is tomorrow, people, make sure you are at Film Bar so you can watch Hard Ticket to Hawaii with us. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have games.
Prizes.
Games. And discussions, deep discussions about a very meaningful film.
We're gonna have fun games and discussions. Sounds awesome.
It's like a pizza party, but you're doing the SATs.
Real roller coaster.
And they can get tickets where, Chris?
Thefilmbarphx.com.
That's correct. But I don't like that, Chris. Let's do it again. They can get tickets where, Chris?
Thefilmbarphx.com.
That's right. I like the energy that time. That was a good one. All right, guys. As always, I am joined by Kyle Smith.
Hey, how's it going?
Chris Wilmberg.
Hey, what's up?
And Michael Saluccio.
Hello, everybody.
Today we are talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Sorry.
Today we are talking about Buffy. Is it the way I said it?
I literally thought you were about to say Buffalo 66.
Buffalo 66.
Tonight we are talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was directed by Fran Rubel Kazuzzi.
Nice.
Sounds fucking great, dude. Good job.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Kazoozie.
How would you say the next person's name, though, Mike?
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon. That's what I would say, too.
No, that's not what you would say.
What would you say?
I would say Yoss, as I usually do.
Why it does.
Soft J.
Soft J.
You don't hear Soft J in there? I do.
Never.
I like it that way.
I'm pretty sure Joss Whedon has said his own name.
Yeah, he has said, probably.
I also feel
That would be
like you're
funny if
the
he
only.
did say Yas.
I feel like you're the only guy that's still making some sort of Anchorman reference joke in 2019.
What's that?
Keep it going.
Soft J?
Yeah, Soft J.
Yeah, definitely. Came out in 1992, had a budget of $7 million, made $16.6 million in the box office, has a rating of PG-13, and currently sits at a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes. This was...
Your pick.
That's right.
Why did you pick it, though?
Why did you... I like how aggressive. Yeah, but why did you pick it, though?
Yeah.
We know it's your pick.
I'm glad you asked.
No one did.
I didn't.
So
I demanded.
it was between 2 films. It was between this and But I'm a Cheerleader, because both of them have anniversaries this month.
And cheerleaders.
And
we just got a request for that.
Good.
Hey.
Yeah,
Good.
request literally just came in for...
Was it from Cody Everett 1123 at gmail.com?
Yeah, he's just like right now as he's saying it.
You know what?
Hey.
It came from Cody Everett 1123. It came from Jenna H.
Cool.
It's probably the person I discussed this film with on Instagram.
Very cool.
All right, I'm gonna cut all this out.
But but it was between that and this, and I do want to talk about that film. But I just, for some reason, I had these fond childhood memories of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I said, "Oh, it's its anniversary this month. We should talk about that film." I will get to that. Will be my next pick. That fan pick will be my next pick. I'm making the promise right now because I do want to talk about that movie.
Buffy?
No.
Oh, yeah, you really confused me what movie
Yeah,
you're
I
talking
thought
about
you
right
were
now.
talking about Buffy too.
I have no idea what you're talking
No.
about.
I
thought that was still
was,
part of his story.
I knew he was talking about the cheerleader movie.
Yeah, but I'm a cheerleader.
gotcha,
That will be
gotcha.
my next pick. It's coming
Okay.
because I promised to pick it, but
So
I wanted to
Buffy.
go Buffy first.
I see. Okay.
So that's why I picked Buffy, because I have fond childhood memories, because this is
There
not
it
the
is.
first time I've seen this film. Is this anyone's first time seeing this film?
No.
No.
Kyle, when's the first time that you saw Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Shit, I would have to guess that my age was probably around maybe 6 or 8 years old. I remember watching it with brother Ryan, and I remember thinking this movie was super entertaining and hilarious, especially the main henchman, that whole bit he does at the end where he just won't die. Like, when I was a kid, made me laugh hysterically. So, yeah, I was probably about then, and I've probably seen it, I don't know, 20, 25 times in my life.
That's a lot of times.
Yeah, spread out across the years. There was a lot in the early years because when you're a kid, you find something, you're like, this is the shit, and then you fucking watch the hell out of it.
Study everything about it. Yeah.
What about you, Chris?
This is definitely not my first time, and I was obsessed with this movie for a period of time. When I started being able to go to the video store, this was like kind of my way into horror because it was comedy and it was funny, but it had to do with vampires. And I probably rented this like 6 or 7 times consecutively to the point where my parents were like, don't rent that movie anymore. We don't want to rent that movie anymore. Might as well just bought it at this point, right? So I definitely loved this movie. And it was about probably the same age, like 7, 8 years old, something like that.
That's also when Chris learned about economics.
Economics. I got a schooling there from mom and dad, but loved it as a kid.
What about you, Mike?
I'll tell you exactly when I saw this. I was 12 because in 1992 I was 12. I saw this sucker in theaters.
I was waiting for
Ran
it.
to the goddamn theaters.
Of course you fucking did.
I was waiting for it.
God, to be young.
Can I tell you something? And I want to talk. There was a story that I want to tell. And I know it's giving away like a plot point of this movie, but it's not even really a plot.
You're about to tell the plot in about 5 minutes anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. So this is an experience that I had in that theater that to this day I recall very vividly and thinking that it was genius. There is so throughout this entire movie, Luke Perry's in this. This is Peak Perry.
Peak Perry.
Peak Perry.
Yeah, he's 90210.
Oh yeah, right. Peak Perry. He has a soul patch throughout most of the film. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time I'm watching the film, there's a scene where he's getting ready to go to a dance and he shaves it off, and he goes, "Huh," like that. Looks in the mirror. Right. When that happened, about half the entire theater erupted in 15-year-old girls clapping like crazy. Like because they were like, it's not Dylan. Like, like they were so like, and I remember thinking even as a kid, like, wow, whoever made this movie knew that Luke Perry was such a god right now that no one would like the soul patch he had on. This is a clear choice that somebody made to say, I bet you if we shave that shit off, like 3/4 into the film, everybody's going to throw their hands up and clap.
For sure.
And I was just being like, this is such a manufactured piece of genius. Mm-hmm. Like, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
Another little...
At 12, you thought that?
Yes, at 12. I'm not even joking. At 12, I remember just being like...
You're able to cognitively think at 12.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as like...
I'm 12. I'm not fucking 6.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Picking up cues from like, why are they reacting to this?
Yeah, like...
I'm just impressed that 12-year-old him had such a conscious reality around marketing and how to bet the horses the right way,
No, I'm what I'm saying is, I mean, I'm sure I'm not, I'm more eloquent now, I would hope.
No.
Now that I'm 39 instead of when I was 12, I probably didn't say it the same way I'm communicating it to you, but I definitely remember thinking, Luke Perry's a big fucking deal. No one liked that thing on his face, and somebody made a decision. That's all I knew.
Yeah, they had to make him look like a little, kind of like a scumball, It's like, and then he kind of transforms at the end into that Dylan character.
I preferred Scumball Perry versus Dylan at the end.
Living above the motor or the repair shop,
Yeah, it's a sick apartment right there.
That's cool.
Another little side fact: this is the first film where I realized that Paul Rubens was Pee Wee Herman.
That's kind of, I think that's probably true for me too.
I never knew him as anything but Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, my mom turned to me after the film and said, that was Pee Wee Herman that was doing the ooh, ah thing. And I was like,
so funny.
Wait,
that you
what?
said that.
I was like, he's not just Pee Wee Herman all the time? And she's like, no. That's so funny that I came up with this great idea about marketing as a kid, but did not understand the concept of like...
You thought Pee Wee was just a real guy.
I thought Pee Wee Herman was a dude named Pee Wee Herman, born from birth.
How
like
he
two
looks.
parents said, you know what I think this kid's name should be? What? Pee Wee.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Paul Herman, let's do that.
His dad.
So I had that discussion last night with Eben.
Yeah.
That same exact one, like where I was like, dude, you know who that guy is? He's like, who? I was like, that's Pee Wee. And he's like, that's Pee Wee? And I'm like, yeah, it's Pee Wee.
Yeah, it's an
Just blew his
amazing
mind.
And his next question was, why does Pee Wee have a beard?
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's not Pee Wee. It's the guy who plays Pee Wee. He's an actor. And I was like, acting is pretending. I had to give it that whole, that whole speech. But Yeah. So this movie, the first time this is not the first time I've seen it. I've seen this movie probably the same amount of Kyle actually, and that's probably back when this movie came out because I feel like my sister watched it that much. Like my sister was like into like horror films, and me as a child, I was not. I was extremely terrified. I've talked about it before, extremely terrified of these movies as a child because in my world they were real because that's what my parents said.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah. So like, so this one was like a safe one that me and her could watch, and it wasn't too scary, and it wasn't too bad. But I remember her watching this all the time, and then doing the cheer. She was also a cheerleader from the intro that I just did, and so like. I don't know, this movie, I grew up with it, and it's funny, I'm also a fan of the television series and where the television series went, and like, I always took it as if I loved the movie because it was like a family bonding thing to me, and I loved the television series. I did not realize until I started looking up, like, the animosity between the fans of the television show and this movie and Josh himself with this movie. I had no idea. Until I like looked it up, I was like, "Oh wow! Like no one likes this movie."
Some controversy around this one, huh?
That was the entertaining thing about watching this was because Sammy is a cheerleader or was a cheerleader, and she had like so much criticism for the girls doing the cheers in the movie.
Oh, they're terrible.
Yeah, I'm
like, it's a movie, and she like we're just watching it in silence, and when they're done, they all go woo, and Sammy's just like. You don't woo when you're a cheerleader. That's number one. Jesus,
That's really funny.
All right. Well, with that being said, I think it's time we get to plots with Mike.
Guys, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It stars a girl named Buffy. She lives in a town, a little California town, and it's being overrun by vampires. They're working in the shadows. Nobody can really see them, but, they're doing their shit. They're doing vampire shit, sucking blood, turning other people. While this is happening, she's just kind of living a life as a very popular girl, a very popular cheerleader. And one day she's walking around the mall, and this old man comes up to her and says, "Hey, you know what? You're the chosen one. You're the Slayer." And she's like, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about, old man." Man is a persistent man. He does not give up. Finally, he convinces her, "Look, there's vampires out there. It's only up to you. You got to kill her. You are part of a long lineage of Slayers who has failed every single time to kill this vampire named Lothos, and you got to do it." She meets a young man named Pike, who's a rebel. And you know what? It's up to her to take out Lothos. And she's going to do it her way. Buffy style. Kyle, roll the tape.
That being said, let's take a break. We'll be right back. And we're back. We're talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, 1992, $7 million budget.
Oh, jeez.
$16 million in the box office.
Okay, doubled and more.
So, yeah, mild success.
Yeah.
Not a huge success, not a big enough success to spawn sequels, yet get a TV show 5 years later.
I have a question because not knowing what the budget was before seeing the film, I think to myself, was most of that spent on like Luke Perry? Because I don't see $7 million in this film.
A lot of it, I bet, was spent on Luke Perry, and I bet a lot of it on Donald Sutherland. He's the biggest name in the film.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
there's a few names that become really big.
Yeah, like Ben Affleck.
You think Donald Sutherland was bringing in was demanding a cool mill?
I don't know,
just
man.
to show up on set. Was he before Robert Downey?
He's like, "I'm a Sutherland. Like, I don't know what I demand. Every Sutherland gets this."
There's stunts, there's big sets, like there's you know what I mean? It's kind of got some a lady jumps out of a fucking window. They crash like a motorcycle.
It's a lot of makeup.
That's probably where the money was spent, was those fucking flashback scenes.
Yeah.
Maybe
And the wire work for the vampires.
Dark Ages,
You had to
right?
de-age Donald Sutherland. It wasn't easy.
D.H. him.
No,
Still
he just showed up.
They had to,
He's looked that way since like 1972. It's always been that way.
It's true. The last time he looked younger was like Invasion of the Body Snatchers the year after that. Old.
Yeah.
old. 1 year.
One year will do it to you.
I
That's
will
what
say that
Hollywood does.
going back to like the beginning and what you were saying earlier, like when the first scene opens and you get this cheer and it like you get the title card,
Yes.
you know, like that cheer is pretty fucking lame in my opinion. I was like, it doesn't
Dude.
you're not selling me on like the fact that you guys are
So
like these
lame.
awesome cheerleaders.
All
lame.
the cheers are lame in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
they
I-
are.
but also endearing.
I accept it.
It's
I accept
1992
it.
Cheers, so
Yeah.
I assume
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Sammy's like, they're doing way too much shimmying.
What I was asking is like, why are they all wearing spandex? Like, I couldn't figure that out. I was like, what? I never knew any cheerleaders that wore
Wasn't
spandex.
that-
I feel like they were trying to keep this PG,
Yeah.
like really PG-13 and family friendly in a way. Like
They definitely
even
achieved it.
down to not having blood when the vampires get stabbed.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty
there's no
much,
blood.
right?
and
Like,
none
you
of them
don't really-
disintegrated. I was
or
really
when they
disappointed
bite
about
you.
that.
There's no blood when they bite you
Yeah,
either,
exactly.
Chris.
So I have a question for everybody.
Yeah.
Real quick. Before we get into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, I mean,
We're in it.
Not yet.
Yeah,
I
too
don't want to
late.
get there yet. Does anyone here like the movie more than the series?
No,
Yes.
No, wait. You don't.
I like the series better.
You like the series better. Kyle.
You know what? I was thinking that the whole time I was watching it,
Yeah.
and I gotta say, I actually kind of prefer the movie
Okay.
over the series.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna have a lot of
Chris?
upset Buffy fans.
Yes, I mean, I do personally prefer it because I've seen quite a few Buffy episodes, not in any kind of specific order, so I don't know the story where
Yeah.
it goes or anything.
That helps.
But I'm not a fan, and it's like I get it, like why people like it, but I'm not a fan of the style of the Buffy show. I'm way more of a fan of the style of this movie than the style of that TV
Okay.
show.
I like that everyone's saying that because I was afraid I would be the only person that dude, I like the movie more.
I'm the only one who likes the
here's-
series
And
more.
this is the
Here's
weird
the
thing.
Oh,
Well,
go ahead.
no, it's
No,
okay.
you do you.
Like my whole thing is too. Like when I first saw the movie, it had such a weird impact at me at such a young age, right? So going into the series, I was like, "This is cool, man. It's like a fucking remake." You know, I don't know what that is yet. Before I'm inundated with them, but yeah, seeing the series, I watched the whole series all the way through. Love the series,
Yeah.
right? Came back to the series like in my 20s, and I remember just being like, "Man, this didn't age well." Like
Oh,
not
not
liking
at
this.
all.
Going back to the movie and being like, but this one did.
I agree.
Like this one
Here's the
makes me
thing.
feel good.
Here's the
I don't like the series. I don't like that much, and I don't know. And I'm sorry for any Joss Whedon fans. I like a lot of his work. I certainly do. This is just my own opinion of Buffy.
I just want
I gotta defend myself. from
I
these
just
people.
want to. I
I agree.
just
I
want to say,
understand.
like, I like the series for what it is. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I hate the series. I
Yeah.
just prefer it. I prefer the movie over the series. I like the series for what it is because for me, as like even like a longtime comic book fan, you love seeing the continuation of like a hero story, and the show gives us that. But like those adventures can never truly equal to like the origin and the coming up and stuff. I think that's what I like seeing. I like seeing this origin story that we get, even though it might not be the best produced. It's a great story.
Well, that's the weird thing too, because like not even ironically, is that the right word to use? That Joss
know.
Whedon hates his fucking film.
He hates it.
Yeah,
Like, and I didn't really even know that until a few years ago, maybe. And
Part
being
of
like,
it's because
really?
of-
That's not like a canon thing?
It's not. Yeah. And
Yeah,
Part
and
of it's because Donald Sutherland.
Well, sure. Yeah, I understand that. You don't like an actor, right?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
okay.
part of it. But then they
wait,
also
you didn't like it because he didn't like Donald Sutherland
Donald
as an actor.
Sutherland Donald Sutherland apparently was a
Total
fucking pain in the ass on set, and then
Donald Sutherland. He's a Sutherland. We just established
We
that.
said that
he
he
also
that's
turns
no
to Kiefer every day. He's like,
He al-
that's how a
and
Sutherland
also,
does it.
apparently Whedon's one of these people, just like I've heard Quentin Tarantino is where it's like you read what's on the fucking script.
Yeah,
And Donald Sutherland did not do that, and they let him have carte blanche over that and just let him do that. Director did, and that's when Whedon walked off.
Sound like a battle of egos to
Can I-
me.
it does. And can I say something? Like, man, I find like Joss Whedon's writing kind of cringy nowadays. Like his jokes don't really
no
land.
I
Coming with the
disagree.
punches, man.
He is. This is like the hobo of the shotgun episode.
I'm glad you said that
Yeah,
because
but-
Rutger Hauer.
we're not talking about the show though. We're talking about the movie.
No,
We
he's
are,
talking
Joss
about-
Whedon.
We are, but he wrote both the
He
movie
did
and the
both.
show.
No,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, but,
But-
Cody's getting fired
No,
up.
because he didn't.
Well,
he
this is-
wrote
these
the
are
movie.
fighting words.
He-
They
yeah.
changed his writing.
He really wrote the movie, but they changed the whole
They
thing.
fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fucked up his entire
This
vision.
is not anywhere
the
close
series
to his
is
vision.
his vision.
and he got pissed. And
Yeah.
and he started off on the wrong foot because he didn't like that. And then Donald Sutherland was being a dick on set, so he didn't like that.
Right.
And he walked off to make a point, and he made a point because the fucking show was way more successful than the movie.
Like,
Oh,
like insanely more successful.
And how crazy is that? That where else can you pinpoint in this? And this is also why you got to give this movie credit too. Like where, because honestly, where else in the history have you had a movie do? and then get a TV show, and not only get a TV show 5 years later, but get a TV show that's way more successful. Usually what happens is you get a movie, then you get a TV series based off that movie, and it fucking sucks.
It's like a flash in the pan or
I don't
something.
know, man. I don't know.
It's
I know a lot of I feel like there's quite a few of those.
What? Name one.
Okay, so it's not a movie, but it Battlestar Galactica was way more successful than the original series.
Yeah, but that's
by
a
a
television
milestone,
show.
and nobody was I mean, there were Battlestar Galactica fans, but not like there are now. Not that came in from the new series. Like that,
Yeah,
it was like a 70s show that only lasted 1 or 2 seasons. Right?
Yes.
Wait, what side are you arguing for right now?
I'm saying that I think there are a lot of instances where somebody did one thing and then the second thing that came out was more successful. I know it's more for films like The Thing or The Fly in the Fly. I get that, right?
Yeah, but you're also comparing
he's
TV
talking
show to
about
TV
TV
show.
show.
We're going from movie to TV show. And we're taking a mildly successful
I
movie
want to say that I
that
know
wasn't
that
even
there are
successful
some.
enough to get a
Hey,
sequel.
How many times has this happened, actually? A movie that then just becomes a TV show, rebooted.
Let's see.
I'm just curious. I don't know the answer. And I
Buffy's one of the top ones. Clueless comes up.
Yeah,
Friday Night
remember
Lights
that.
comes up.
Yeah.
Friday
that
Night
one was
Lights.
fucking huge on FX.
Let's see. Alice was another one listed on this list. That's an older one. Yeah, Buffy's one of the bigger ones.
Well, Buffy
Yeah.
has to be one of the
It
bigger
has to be one of the bigger ones. Think about it, dude. At the time, WB was doing shit.
Indiana Jones, I guess, had it in the Young Indiana Jones
that
Chronicles.
I mean, I love that show, but I
I
don't
do
think
too.
it's bigger than the movies.
MASH.
What am I forgetting? Back to the Future. They had an animated series.
Yeah,
it's
you're
true.
the one that's sitting in cellophane on my
Yeah.
DVD.
For years now.
Still.
Years. Never been
Years now.
opened. It's so good.
I've gotten that as a gift 3
Collector's
times,
item.
3 Christmases in a row.
I'm gonna laugh if those
And I
become super
only have
valuable.
one copy still. Makes no sense.
It is the best joke.
MASH. Sorry, was one
Ooh,
another
no,
one.
MASH.
MASH is
Totally MASH.
I've seen the movie. It's
Yeah.
a really anti-war film,
Right.
but the show is just beloved, and that was so many seasons.
Yeah.
That was a great show.
But also, the movie wasn't panned or anything like that, though.
The
That's
Odd
the thing.
Couple. This is listed on here.
Yeah. Successful movie, successful show.
Parenthood, Planet of the
Parenthood.
Apes.
Parenthood had 2 shows. Parenthood had a failed show before, and now a Parenthood now that's
It started as a
successful.
TV
there's
show,
quite
went
a
to a
few
movie, I think,
actually.
went to it back.
There's quite a few that made a transition. It seems like in some one way or another.
I'm gonna choose MASH as the best performing one.
All right, now that we've solved that answer,
But-
the question,
Yeah.
the query
Have we?
that came to us.
What was the question?
I don't
The
even
query,
remember.
the query was
That's
about
terrible.
was
Don't
about
remember
the
this
show
point.
or the movie. That
we
was
went,
the
we,
original
went
query.
down, we went down a rabbit hole.
Has
I
it
see what you mean.
Has it happened where a movie came out
Oh, that was the second
and
query.
the series came out and it was way more successful than the movie
Than
ever
the movie
was?
was, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
And we
We don't know.
found
Buffy seems to be the winner in this case.
I think it's the biggest one.
Yes.
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 Well, hands down.
You can cut half of that.
We
out.
will. We'll get that down. We'll
No.
get right to the
I don't
point.
know what
Leave
happened.
all the mash in.
Yeah.
Mash
That
it
was
all
I
in.
fucking love
That was
MASH.
the point.
MASH is great. How
All right.
dare you, sir?
Sorry, guys. I thought we were part.
What is it? But
That's
what
just Chris
he is
being
saying
Chris.
is what you guys are saying is this is crazy to me because I can separate the two because I'm a normal human being, but some people cannot separate the two.
Are you saying
know?
we're abnormal?
No, I'm saying that some people that obsess over like fandom,
Yeah.
well,
Why are they
cannot
have such-
separate this. It's like
Why do they have
it's
such
like you can't
disdain?
remake Ghostbusters with
Well,
women.
that's the thing. You have to. And that's
like
the thing.
along
I
those
can
lines.
separate them. Yeah, those are two.
I can
those are
separate
two
the two
distinct
things.
films.
I- yeah.
Why is there a rivalry? That's the real
well,
question.
I want to say one
because
thing.
it's beloved.
Yes,
Buffy has that series was breaking ground in a lot of areas.
Yes.
It really was. Like the messages they were saying. I mean, was it the first lesbian relationship? Major I don't
can't
think so. Right?
Probably in
I
a
remember
teen
it being
show.
a big deal.
It was a big deal. The subtle differences too. Like in this movie, Buffy's parents are like rich yuppies that just kind of are
Yeah.
around. In the series, it's a divorced mom who's very involved in her life and cares very much.
Yeah.
You know, also like different starting points. Buffy's a senior in the movie. She's a sophomore in the series. It's going off of his original script, which they later turned into a comic book, which he also has issues with.
Yeah, it's weird.
But he says
Again.
is pretty close. I don't. Here's the thing: is like if he is a difficult, I don't know if he is or isn't a difficult person to work with, but the guy hits home runs, man. So there's something
Donald
there.
Sutherland.
What?
That's who I was talking about. Donald Sutherland, man.
Yeah, man.
It's
Fucking
overall-
legend, man. He's a fucking Sutherland.
Hey,
What did we say?
That was really good.
you know what? Probably one of my favorite characters in this movie, and anytime he shows up, I like seeing Donald Sutherland on screen.
I've always
I
liked
don't
Donald
know why,
Sutherland,
but I like him.
But knowing that he's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
yeah, but
It
I'm
makes
like,
it
not
really-
even-
You know what though?
Stains it a bit.
I've heard a lot of. There's a handful of actors that are kind of pains in the asses and that I like their
No,
performances.
no,
you know what I
I'm-
mean, it's just kind
it's
of
never
the way
like
it
a thing
is.
where I'm like done
that's
with
the
an
same-
actor.
That's the same thing I'm saying about Whedon. Is like even if he is a pain in the ass, I love his work and he does good
can't
I
say
don't
stuff.
know.
it.
I
I
feel like
can't say
everything
love.
after Avengers.
What?
Like
Cabin in the Woods?
no, everything after Avengers though. Like he's done. I feel like he's not getting the same. People are kind of like
I think he got
changing their mind a little bit on Whedon.
I think he got
when you
real
get fired
burned out.
by Marvel. you
Well,
know.
then he went over to DC, and there's a whole goddamn movement of people that want a Snyder cut, like because
Oh,
God forbid Joss Whedon got
I'm
involved.
sorry, he made that movie better. I'll say
You
it.
don't know. You haven't
Yeah,
seen
you
it.
have
say
no
it.
idea.
And I cannot
fucking
believe
Joss
I'm
Whedon
defending this
episode.
stupid fucking Snyder cut shit. But
He didn't even
I
like this.
liked
He
it.
didn't
I said
even like this movie, and we're talking about him.
we don't know what the Snyder cut looks like. I'm gonna say that we don't know. So people out there, Snyder cut people, I think it's ridiculous, but okay. I'm sorry, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. You think I'm joking?
We had to talk about him.
Whedon mania over here.
He's a very popular figure.
Yeah,
and
I
he-
get it. Yeah,
You know, we needed to talk about him to get into now this movie and the actors in this movie, like Kristy Swanson and
our leading lady, Kristy Swanson.
Man, let me tell you something. Great choice.
Yes.
I love her in this movie.
She's athletic, and you need to be athletic for this role. And like to be a cheerleader, to be kicking ass, doing flips.
Well, she's a great actress too. Like
She is a good
plays the
actress.
fuck out of this role.
I agree. She I watched this 1.5 times, and like both times I was like, you know what? She's very natural. Like it feels very like she feels like a very good actress. Like
Yeah.
she can pull off some shit. But I would say that about most people in this
I mean, I
movie.
don't think it was like a huge jump
No.
for the character though. Like
No.
like she goes from like realizing this high school it's basically Buffy the Vampire Slayer is telling the story of somebody growing up.
Yeah.
It's basically like the stuff that you thought was important, like in high school, like cheerleading and all that stuff, turns out to be when you get in the real world very trivial. And that's like the message of this movie. And her character does make that jump, but it's not that drastic. It was just like,
no,
there's vampires. I
Yeah.
have a responsibility to kill them.
It was,
I killed them.
it was literally like, yeah, okay, I'll do that now.
She doesn't go deep, but what I'm saying is she doesn't also playing this Valley Girl character, she doesn't get obnoxious.
Two young actresses started off. One was much better than the other. Hilary Swank definitely, I felt like, pulled ahead
Oh.
towards later. Like she learned a lot and she became like this really great actress.
I think what happened.
But I feel like Kristy Swanson was better in this than
No,
I
yeah,
agree with that.
definitely.
100%. I agree with that.
this is,
yes.
but definitely, but also again,
Ben Affleck, good actor. Kind of terrible in
That
this.
was Ben Affleck, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Ben.
Yeah.
There are stars in this.
Even
Kyle.
Seth Green is peppered back there, I read.
Seth
Yes.
Green is in this. David Arquette is in this. God, who else? Hold on.
a lot of people.
Alexis Arquette is in this. There's two Arquettes in this.
A lot of people bash David Arquette's role in this, like how he acts in it, and I'm
Oh.
like, because they're just like, well, it's just David Arquette being David Arquette, but I'm like,
Have we ever seen David Arquette not
No,
be David
I think-
Arquette?
I'm
I
like,
think this
he's-
is when
I
he
thought we liked him
established
for that.
David
I'm like,
Arquette.
I'm like, he's
True.
perfect for this role.
I thought he was great.
He's one of
Yeah.
the best characters in this
Although
movie.
I will say he plays drunk poorly. Actually, so is Luke Perry. They both play being drunk so bad. It's so poor.
I didn't think it was that
I
bad.
didn't think it was that bad
Oh
either.
my
In
God.
fact,
Oh.
I thought Luke Perry had some great moments.
How
in
great
this
was their
movie.
waitress though, Ricky Lake?
Oh shit!
How
Ricky
great was
Lake's
she?
in this
God.
film?
Chock full.
Didn't
This is
even
the LA
notice that.
scene at the
Rutger
time.
Hauer. Rutger Hauer.
Dude, I loved seeing him. I was like,
Rutger Hauer.
Here's my problem though
Okay,
with
anyway,
Lothos.
sorry.
Can we get into this
Yes.
real quick? What is his purpose?
His
What do you
purpose
mean?
is
He's
to rule.
Dracula. He's
Yeah,
just
he's
Dracula.
No, he's like just been going throughout time, just killing Slayer over and over. Like
What-
he could have been, guys. He should have taken over by now. Is what I'm saying. He just is like he just gets to the point of killing the Slayer, and then he just stops. Like,
Well,
oh,
didn't
far
they
enough.
say in the movie he goes into like long slumbers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been sleeping for a couple
Yeah, but
thousand
like,
years.
I
They didn't
feel
have
like
a chance
he
to.
really has no purpose.
What's he after?
Dude,
What's he after?
What purpose
What's he
is
after?
Dracula?
What is he after?
What is Dracula's purpose?
Love?
Get back to Mina, yeah.
Yeah, well, so he got her.
That's a pretty
And then he
deep,
like kills her, right?
He's in-
He's
I'm
like,
talking about Boris Karloff's Dracula.
Oh.
does
Well,
he
yeah,
have
to
to
get
like,
back to Same thing.
does he have to feed on the Slayer to live longer?
No, I
or
think
something?
he's just
No.
made a sport out of hunting Slayers. So he's more concerned with hunting the next Slayer than ruling the
hunting
world.
and loving Slayer.
Yeah,
And like, and honestly,
seeing how many he can turn.
I love him as an actor, but I do not like him that much in this movie because the villain is kind of lame.
He's so lame. His
pretty
sidekick's
He's lame,
way
but
better.
I like him.
His
When the
sidekick's way
sidekick
better.
overshadows you, but he overshadows everyone. And Paul Rubin overshadows everybody in the
Yeah.
movie.
He's
That's supposed-
amazing in this.
That's
He's-
supposed to be
yes.
played by a female. I read.
Yeah,
that
originally it was
character.
written. It was
Yeah.
written for a female. She dropped out, and then they rewrote it for a male.
He's great.
He's-
He's great, and
He is.
and he improvised, I believe, on some of the
The
stuff.
death scene is
Yeah.
is improvised, but yeah, no, he's the one who went full vampire. He like went full into like I feel like he's the one who understood Whedon's writing the best
Mhm.
and was like, oh, okay, I get this. It's sarcastic, but also
Dark.
dark and in
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
I get it.
He is the darker character. He almost seems more evil than the
Oh,
lead, is what you're saying.
Hands down.
Yeah. So I get what you're. I agree.
The
with what
Lothos.
you're saying.
Lothos is just
Yeah,
the
Lothos.
Lothos has one cool scene, and that is
On the flashback?
No, it's his lefty, Paul Rubin's character. That's his death when he's just sitting on the corner playing the violin.
Oh,
to his
that part
death.
is really
Cool.
fucking good.
And that's like my favorite part of with him. And the rest of it, I could be like, I don't care. I don't care.
I love the. Oh well, yeah, I know. I guess as far as his performance goes, I do love that shot though when he's when they take that first victim girl in
Yes.
and she's like looking up and his like wingspan is open and the lights coming in. I thought that was like a really great shot. Where were we? Lothos, not menacing.
Yes. No. It's not Lothos. No. I'm glad you brought this up. It's one of the things I wanted to touch on, and we'll get into it now, because we're all over the place. But that's fine. It's
Buffy.
I'm imagining most people have seen this movie, and we don't have to get too much into the story. But the special effects, man, on this just seems so fucking dated.
It was so
They did not age
phoned
well.
in. Yeah,
Like,
I wasn't a fan at
anytime
all.
there is a vampire floating, it just looks like
loved it.
oh.
Yeah, the vampire floating
it's
looked
rough.
looked really goofy to me. And the other thing that I noticed, this is kind of goes with special effects a little bit, but like the fight choreography, I thought to myself when I was watching, I was like, damn,
That's on the director.
Fights in the '90s were slow.
Nope. That's on the. I put this 100% on the director. The problem with it was you didn't have good enough people to do the stunts, and you didn't pull in tight enough on the action.
That's
You could have
yeah,
made.
cut it fast
if they had done the Taken kind of approach, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
where
like the Steven Seagal approach.
the approach
Yes.
where
A
you-
real quick.
Yes, a quick cut.
18
Yes.
takes.
You have to cut action movies like that to make like with sounds.
I mean, they were
and
doing
all
that back
They
in
went-
like Kung Fu.
they
That's
went-
how
I don't know, man.
they
I-
were able to make Kung Fu
Like
shit
the
look
fight scene in the park where she comes and saves Luke Perry when he grabs the guitar and takes the slowest swing I've ever seen anybody
so
take
bad.
at a stunt man with a guitar. Yeah, it is. That's what it feels like. I was like, in that scene so long, I'm like, this fight is embarrassing.
Can I tell you one thing that bothers me in this film? So all the people that are wearing fangs, whatever they were doing with that shit, like must have been incredibly uncomfortable because. Dude, spit is flying fucking everywhere in this movie.
People are
Anytime
really-
people talk, they're like,
yeah.
I'm gonna fuck them. And it's just like gobs of spit flying
No.
out.
Like over
I
All
like-
I
I
can
like
think
that.
of is like,
That's
it must have
production
been
quality.
terrifying
It
to
didn't
have
look-
to sit there and like
That's
be like,
that's added production value right there. You make them snarl naturally
Yeah,
because
I
they
see.
can't close their mouth.
I
and it's
know, but
uncomfortable.
I'm
It's a
thinking
trick.
like
It's a
what
trick
it
you
must have
play on your
been like to
extras.
be in a scene with like David Arquette and your Luke Perry, and it's just like take 22.
Now,
and it's like fucking spit has been hitting
It
him.
looked like David Arquette was wearing fangs even before he turned into
Yes,
a
it did.
vampire.
It did. Here's the thing, too.
Yeah.
I may not be a fan of the special effects, but I do understand now with age, going back to that point that was made earlier, I think by Mike, how that can be perceived as charming.
Yeah.
And like, and people liking it. I do. So if you do like it, Chris, I get it because it does have it has this weird, like cheap aesthetic, but
Yes.
somehow fits this film.
That's
It
why I
kind of
like
reminded me
it,
of
yeah.
like
Simple effect,
cheap
but
PG rated action is
Yeah.
what it looked like.
Yep.
100%.
Which I'm cool with on
Because
this.
I watched this movie with my son, and I'll tell you what, like I didn't have any hesitation because there was no blood, all that stuff. He's seen it.
They say the word bitch twice.
Yeah,
Cody.
he's watched
They do.
the
Oh my
television
God.
series, like he's seen episodes of that, and he was enthralled with this movie to the point to where he's like, dude, let's roll it again, Dad.
I mean, that's the same. That's the same reason why I probably downed this film 10, 15 times when I was a kid. It's is super entertaining for a kid.
I would love to make a movie like this for a young generation because
It's-
it was hitting that market.
Can I say,
Obviously,
it's like it. The other thing about it too was I remember even later on before the series came out.
Yeah.
Going back to that film and being who came up with the idea to make a cheerleader, a vampire killer. I thought it was such an out of the box idea.
It's honestly my first introduction to the concept of a vampire hunter, a
Yeah.
vampire slayer. And I'm just that's such a cool idea. I never thought of that.
that's true. That
Later
was
you
like
learned
the-
about Van Helsing.
Huh?
And that's it. Later you learned about Van Helsing.
No,
Oh yeah,
but,
because when I
Dracula
saw a Bram Stoker's Dracula young, and it was at an age where I really couldn't
Couldn't
connect
connect.
those dots about what everybody's role was.
But this one's got a training montage that lets you know.
Yes, that feeds me
That's
the
true.
feeds
I
me
got
the necessary
whole Rocky
information.
pre-programmed in me. I know exactly what's going on here.
Yep.
She's training. Holy shit, that's what vampire
Dude,
hunters do.
I don't disagree.
Fucking tumbling.
I don't disagree with you guys also liking the character of Merrick because he has some of the best comedic stuff in this movie.
It's so good.
Dude,
I like Merrick.
Just hanging out in the girls' locker room waiting for Buffy to show up because she didn't show
That's
up to the
comedic
Slayer
or
break.
creepy. They both
Like
start with
so.
the letter C.
Both. It's so good. It's both. It's great. And then he just throws a knife at her head, and that scene is magic.
That's probably the most iconic shot from what I remember as a child is that shot, the knife going at her face
but-
and her
Yeah.
catching it,
Yeah, but you threw a knife at my head.
and you got it.
It's so good.
I love that
Yeah.
scene how it ends and she socks in one. It's
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
I've never hit anyone before. It was
And
good.
she slides across the thing. Yeah, the
good.
bench. There is, and I feel like that's more of the Whedon moments, but just toned down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Which he would later use in Avengers. The toned downness. But let's take a break when we come back.
Such a fucking is that our segue?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Cool.
Let's take a break when we come back. We'll talk more about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Where to go?
He's always at the starting line.
All right,
Always, dude.
Here
I'm
we
like
go.
a
I'm
fucking-
ready. 1, 2, 3.
I'm not like
Man,
a
that
fucking
that was a
racehorse,
sexy
dude.
clap right there.
And what's that thing called that holds all the racehorses? What's that called, Mike?
Stable.
A gate?
chariot?
Yeah, dude, I'm like a fucking racehorse in the gate, bro. I'm always ready to go. Just ready to
Okay,
go.
Fucking just sitting there, just huffing and puffing.
Kyle.
All right,
Jesus.
all right, Black Stallion, calm the fuck down.
Go, Secretariat. Let's finish this one off, okay? War Admiral, let's go.
So good. All right, Seabiscuit, let's move it. Here we go. All right, guys, and we're back. We're talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer 1992. One of the people that I wanted to talk about a lot in this episode is because I think he is a very important 90s icon is Luke Perry and the character of Pike. One of my favorite, if not my favorite character besides Paul Rubin in this movie.
Yeah.
He's just charming as fuck.
Can I say something? In the battle of Angel versus Spike, it's Pike for me. I was literally thinking that the whole time.
Right?
Man, everybody fights over who is it, Angel or Spike? And I'm like, you know what? Pike was so much cooler than both those guys.
Yeah, Pike was badass.
He's pretty cool, and he has I feel safe with him.
I do. I feel very safe myself, Chris. Just secure.
I don't know why.
happy.
I'm like, he's around. I feel like things are going to be good. They're a good team. They're working together.
But
you
it's
know?
always him who's in danger. It's never really
I know,
Buffy.
but
And
it's
I,
always
and I like that she still gives him shit, as a team. It's great.
Yeah, yeah,
They have
yeah.
great
Their
rapport.
dynamic. It feels
Yes.
natural and kind of fun. Like I don't know, almost an unlikely couple that naturally sort of finds
Yeah.
love with each
Well,
other.
it totally is.
Yeah.
It's totally an unlikely
I
couple.
love
Well,
the
that's
scene.
the deeper meaning of the film, guys.
Yeah.
That I don't know. It's about a girl that was popular and a guy who was an outsider, and then she becomes a vampire slayer,
Yeah.
and then she becomes the outsider. So then she gets to learn what it's like.
That's it.
And that's what brings them together.
I think you're redoing Plots with Mike right now.
Fucking, it's the Plots of Mike that should have been.
2.0.
If I had introduced it like that, people would be like, I have never seen this film. Holy fucking shit, what have I been missing in my life?
I got chills.
He hit it on the head.
So yeah, there's like a couple great scenes like throughout the film, like Paul Rubin riding on the top of that van, punching
Yeah.
through it.
Dude,
I always remember
so
that
great.
from when I was a kid. The training
Dude,
montages.
his death is still the one that like fucking cracks me the hell up.
Yeah.
Paul Rubin's like, and then he pops back up.
That too. Yep.
Well,
Like,
one of his jokes that I didn't realize till like now because I'm older, you know,
Yeah.
was
a few of those in this movie.
when he takes off, when his arm comes off and he gets up off of it, and Pike looks back at him, he goes, "You ruined my jacket."
Yeah.
And I was like, now that I'm older, I can like respect that joke. Like all I cared about was his fucking jacket. He lost an arm.
Yeah. Dude, it doesn't mean shit.
And then
Yeah.
finishes that up with
So funny.
another great joke, which is kill him lots.
Yeah. Kill him a lot.
It's so good. Like,
Dude, there's definitely like quite a few lines, even background lines, like lines of dialogue in this movie that crack me up still. Like they get me. Like when they're in the elevator and Donald Sutherland's pursuing like the teenage girls and they're like, "What a homeless." That's why that's why that word was in my head earlier, because that line cracked me up. I was like, "What?" Like when the 90s Valley girls, man, the shit they'd say. Reminiscing back to a time of LA malls in the 90s.
The things they say.
Real tomfoolery going on there.
My God. This is so ridiculous. What a weird
Oh,
outro.
it made me laugh, okay?
going back to Luke
Crack me
Perry
up.
real quick. I also just want to point on like how Luke Perry literally has chemistry with everybody that he's on the screen with in this movie too. And it makes I feel like everybody else's performance that much better because he's so believable and grounded in where his character is. Like you believe everybody else is just that much more in that world.
Yeah.
You
One
know?
of my favorite lines of him is when Arquette's floating outside the window.
Dude, yes.
And he's like, "You're floating, man." That's fucking awesome.
It's so good, man. Yeah, everything. I don't know. There's so many deep cut lines that, like, as a kid, like, I remember thinking this movie was entertaining,
Yeah.
but I never remembered it as like funny as fuck.
Yeah,
Like,
and that was the thing. There was a lot of like jokes referencing back to like older films in this that I never picked up on until this watched it, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny! What a fucking great reference!"
The cuts on the movie theaters, like, where do you guys want to go see the movie? Not AMC. The popcorn's bad. Like, I'm like, okay.
I'm like,
It's inside
I'm like,
joke
still
or
is,
something.
still is.
Yeah, to this day, AMC. This episode is brought to you by AMC.
shots fired.
Cutting that
Jesus
out.
Christ, like they won't listen to the show.
They're gonna have our pictures hanging up everywhere. Like,
president
don't
of
let these
AMC is
people
just
in.
We'll
like,
never be able to go there
we own
again.
film, right? Sue them for everything.
everything they've
What?
got.
They've stolen something.
Yeah, they've got laptops. Take them.
Take those.
This was given to me by work.
Yeah, but one of the guys is cracked. I don't care.
I don't care. I'll sell it for scraps.
What do you say we rate this Mammer Jammer?
Did we talk about the ending?
Not at all.
We didn't.
The film?
No,
Yeah, we never talked about the
Hey,
ending.
the film, guys. Do you want me to?
It
do you want me to roll
ends.
through
Yeah.
it?
It ends.
Okay, guys, it's prom or
Prom
one of
night.
the dances.
No,
it's
it's
actually
dance.
not
Senior
prom
dance.
because there's
Senior
that funny
dance.
joke where
Senior
yeah.
dance.
like it's our last dance, and then there's prom and homecoming.
It's like, okay.
No, yeah, it's senior dance, and you know, for whatever reason, and this is where another thing, henchman being wiser than the leader.
Mm-hmm.
He says to Lothos, he goes, "Why? Like, why won't you just like kill her? I don't fucking get it. Like, we're gonna go to the dance." And he's like, "Yes,
I
we're
want to
going
dance
I want
tonight.
to dance."
It's like,
and you know, there's
all
like
right.
some weird obsession going on, right?
I imagine that's what it's like working for any eccentric old rich person. It's probably like,
Yeah,
why
but,
are
like,
we
this
doing
guy's
this?
like
Because I want to.
10,000 years
Like,
old. So how eccentric can you get? Very,
Yes.
Very is the
very is the
answer.
answer. So yeah, they decide to terrorize her at this and terrorize the entire class. Basically, at this dance, and that's when showdown happens.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks badass as fuck with the leather jacket on, with the
such
fucking
a
white
moment.
flowy dress. It's so fucking
Well,
good.
I just like the whole setup of that. Like, yeah, she falls on Luke Perry. He gives her his jacket. Her fucking half of her dress rips off. She goes out in a badass mode and is just ready to
yeah. That
take 'em
fight scene
on.
was great because she just fucking marched out there, started doing some tumbles and shit,
Yeah.
and like landed
A lot
on
of
vampires.
gymnastics.
Fucking badass.
I thought that
That's
was
why none of
what
the
made
other
the movie fun.
That's why none of the other Slayers were successful, Chris.
They didn't know gymnastics.
They know
They didn't know
Gymkata.
gymnastics.
It
That's
made her
true.
more
Jim
kick-ass.
Cotta.
They didn't know Gymkata.
Can I say
It
that-
really is Jim Cotta.
She
Actually.
was Gymkata.
I vividly remember the marketing for this film, like as a kid, like being like, "We're gonna go see that, right, Mom?" There was one of the things. No, we're not, son.
Never,
No.
It's
banned from this house.
You're 12. It's Land Before Time 5 for you.
Fuck no, Mom, no. Buffy. All my friends are watching Buffy.
Too. If all your friends jumped off a bridge, would you too, Michael?
I mean, is Buffy there? Yeah. Anyways, so like I remember there were two things that I remember. It was Pike throwing her that leather jacket,
Right.
and then her putting it on.
Yep.
That was like a big thing that was in the trailer. And the other one was when they're dancing, and he goes, "You're not like other girls," and she goes, "Yes, I am." Like those are the two things that I
Tender
remember.
moment.
Like when it happened again, I was just like the commercial, like the trailer. Oh my god!
I have to see this movie.
Like it's weird.
But have you seen the trailer?
It was
Way
this,
better.
This
Way
and
better.
arachnophobia, where like I'm watching it and I was like, "That was in the trailer." Holy fucking shit, that was in the trailer.
When it
like,
was funny
it's one of those
when
movies
I
where
started
knew
doing
that,
that.
was
When I started doing that, that's when I started to learn. Because remember back in the day, they used to put shit in trailers that's not in the movies.
yes,
And now suddenly it's an okay thing to do. But I think they got in trouble for that. Like someone sued them for
really.
Adding footage.
Yeah, for adding footage and shit that was never actually in the film.
I don't doubt that. Happens all the time.
But when I started putting that together, I was like, "Where's that one scene from the trailer?" The one that disappointed me the most, actually, Starship Troopers trailer, because I said,
Did I have one?
"Where's that song?
Wow.
Where's Blur song 2 in this
Yeah.
entire movie? Not
That's
once.
true.
It's all
I forgot
orchestral
that was
shit."
it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And that disappointed me.
I never thought about that.
Is that
Not
crazy
as-
that a song kind of drove you? Like it
That
was a part
song
of the movie.
drove me to really want to see that movie.
Yeah.
You know what drove
Cool.
me to rating this Mammer Jammer?
We
Okay,
haven't
yeah.
even finished the ending.
That conversation.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the ending yet.
Because we're talking about another movie soundtrack.
Oh god.
Dude, I liked the ending where she battles and she's sitting on Pike and he's like, I can't move my legs.
I feel like that was in the
Why?
trailer too.
because you're sitting on them. I'm like, okay.
There's a lot of great
It's a nice
shots in
wrap
this.
up.
There's really a lot of great shots.
I will say though,
Go ahead.
her killing Lothos, such a like deflated balloon. It's like not even exciting. It's just like
Really, none of
Yeah.
the vampire kills
Yeah.
are in this movie.
That's true.
None of them
yeah.
are really exciting.
Except when she does like the flip and throw, like the
like
somersault
the
followed by the
badass,
throw.
That was
Mhm.
definitely in the trailer a lot.
Yeah.
The somersault.
But I
throw.
will say I was disappointed with that because each vampire just kind of went down. And actually, there's a couple scenes where the extras are just like. Even Sammy's laughed. I was like, was he hired to just stand in the background and shake his hands a bunch until he got stabbed?
So there's a scene, I tell you right now, there's a fucking goddamn extra, right? There's a scene, I think it's in the mall.
Yeah.
Buffy's talking, it's a rack focus kind of thing. Not a rack focus, but like
Panning.
no, what is it
Like
when
a
when the
depth,
depth of field is
yeah.
like slim? It's blurry in the back. Let's
Shallow.
put it that way, right? Okay. So you see her and she's talking, and for some reason I see this guy in like I feel like it was like a yellow shirt. And he sees the camera and he puts his hand in his pockets, he puts his head down and just sprints to get off of camera. And I was like, Jesus Christ. They were just like, fuck, we only have like one take, man. We're gonna have to keep him.
Oh, one of my groan worthy moments was that scene where they first meet Pike and Benny at the bar, and Benny's like, "Hey, eat this, Buffy," and whips out a hot dog as a dick, and
Yes.
then they like
She
really
does, like-
oddly cut away to just like these weird expressions of
The
people.
sound effects of like a sword
She
flying
takes-
there.
And then it cuts back to just like a perfectly slit
No,
like
it's
hot
two
dog.
swipes.
Ah.
I've been trying to figure this out the whole time I've been watching the movie because it's two swipes, and I'm like, well, how'd she split it down the middle?
Yeah.
Because it's. I'm like, well, that's two hits. Where was it? Just
well, there's
a
the
slight cut in.
No, there's the buildup. You gotta go.
Yeah, maybe it's that.
There was
Yeah.
something about
She
David
had the
Ar-
butter knife sheathed.
Mhm.
That's true. It had to have. Something about David Arquette whipping out a hot dog dick that just made me feel real weird for a second.
Felt real dirty.
I just
Yeah.
didn't like their performances in that scene. Really,
Really?
Oh, I don't
Because they
mind
were.
it.
You didn't like
They're
their
drunk.
drunk. You didn't like their drunk.
Yeah, they were like their drunk was just so like campy. It was so
Yeah.
cartoonish.
The bad
It was
editing.
like, fuck.
No, the worst part of that scene is the bad editing when they're walking back right before Benny gets taken.
And they're suddenly up on a mountain.
Yeah. But the editing of like Merrick pulling up before they're like before Benny gets taken and turned into a vampire, and I'm like, why didn't he stop that from fucking happening? Like he saw him come up and grab him and leave him, and then he just picks up.
Merrick and Lothos have a very like they have an understanding. Like he allows Lothos to build an army as long as Lothos doesn't fuck with the Slayer. I feel like that's like they have an agreement. And that last scene, I felt like there was going to be something more going on when he confronts him, and then Lothos kills Merrick. I thought there was going to be a bigger explanation of why he's so protective of the Slayer and shit like
I'm
that.
sure there is in Origin because apparently in Origin, spoiler alert if you haven't read it because we haven't, but apparently
Why are you spoilering that?
you know.
Wikipedia.
Because apparently Merrick kills himself
Yes.
instead of being killed by Lothos in the
And
Origin.
I'm glad you brought that up because it leads us to the ending.
Yeah.
So Lothos has caused a plan to just fucking. We went so off track just now. We were literally at the very end of this fucking movie, and we just went into a whole thing and it ended with "and in Origins," the comic book that predates this film. I just thought it was so funny.
All right, guys. What do you say we just rate this Mammer Jammer?
Yeah, let's do it. What do you want to rate it, man?
I think we should rate. Have we done leather jackets before? I almost want to do that
I don't know.
I don't think we've ever done leather jackets.
because I feel like the leather jacket and the white
about we
palm
rate it
like the white dress is very.
We'll just call the rating specifically Buffy's leather jacket,
yeah, there we go.
given to her by Pike.
how many?
It's very long.
Not the yellow one in
Description.
the beginning,
Not
but the
the one
black
in the
one at the
beginning.
end.
Yeah, the
let's
black
do yellow
one.
jackets.
That was actually his.
Yeah, we should do yellow jackets.
That's so.
Yellow jackets.
yeah, which are bees.
That's
That's
so.
true.
That's so 5
Yeah.
minutes ago.
So 5 minutes.
This is retro.
We're gonna do so 5 minutes ago.
How many minutes ago are you gonna?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm gonna give it.
I actually love
20
that idea.
minutes.
What?
I don't know. I don't know how to fucking
actually
do this.
love
I
that
don't
idea.
love that. That idea is
2.5
weird.
minutes.
No, now the math is getting
Confusing,
impossible.
So confusing.
Go to leather jackets.
Go.
All right.
Yeah.
So what do you say we rate this Mammer Jammer?
Let's do it. What do you want to rate it, Cody?
I would like to rate this Buffy the Vampire Slayer leather jackets given to her by Pike.
Shit. All right. Cool.
Let's start with Mike first.
Like, I still love this fucking film. Like, I still do. Like, I really think, I feel like, yes, it's totally dated, like, in a weird, like, 90s way, right? But, like, I don't know, man. I still feel like it's a lot of fun. Like I said before, I apologize to anyone who loves the series. Like, I feel like watching it now, I have a hard time. Like, I feel like it doesn't hold up. But I feel like this film does. I really do. I feel like anytime I watch it, I'm like, man, this is a fun film. And I understand that, like, it's not dark, you know, like, and that probably leads into, yes, that's why Joss Whedon probably hates that film, right? I understand that his vision was much darker, more meaningful. This is total pop culture bullshit. There's nothing serious about this. Like, it's all just like a fun, campy adventure. And but still, man, four leather jackets from me.
4 leather jackets given to him by Pike.
God damn it.
I'm not
it's
gonna remember that shit.
Four Buffy leather jackets that were
Buffy-
given to her by Pike.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
that's what it was. Get it right.
Dumb me.
With that being said,
Amateur
Kyle?
I agree with pretty much everything Mike said. Like here, most of it. I'm going to disagree on the.
Wow.
I'm going to disagree on.
too soon.
Here's the thing. Like this movie has moments in it where the cringeworthiness of like the fight scenes and some of the subtle performances were a little painful to watch this time around, being older and seeing other films and like. Here's the thing, man. This is something I watched a bunch as a kid, and like that's playing a heavy role in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Did I have the best adventure I've had watching a movie watching this? No, but it's still entertaining. It's still, I think, a good story, and it's got great performances from all the actors. So I'm going to come in at a 3 on this one. 3 Buffy's leather jackets that were given to her by Pike.
It's Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I'm sorry, 3 Buffy the Vampire Slayer's leather jackets that were given to her by Pike.
Thank you.
That was good. That was really good.
Boom. Never do it again. I went to like a.
Can't live up to
I like
that.
blacked out. I like darked out.
Chris?
Can't live up to that. Oh man, great cast. Good dialogue. I really liked I really liked the humor in this movie. It totally holds up for me. You know, I know this is a nostalgic thing and it is coming from a place of loving it as a child, and I'm just really happy to say that I still do love this movie. Like it makes me happy to be able to hold on to that with this one. There are some great shots in this, and like I said, I did bring up the lighting. We didn't talk a lot about the technical side of this, but there are things I like. I like the cheesy action. I know the fight scenes do look like totally off. There's some really bad ADR in this movie to the point where like David Arquette looks like he's saying something completely different than what you're hearing.
That's true.
Like it's got some technical flaws, but it's a fun movie. And I think as a kid, like for a kid, like I would totally show this to like any of my future children just to introduce them to the idea of horror and comedy being mixed together and it being fun and 35% on Rotten Tomatoes. Fuck that, man. I'm giving this like a 4.5.
Oh, damn.
4.5. Buffy the Vampire Slayer leather jackets given to her by Pike.
Wow.
Wow.
And he nailed that fucking review.
Wow.
It was that were given to
Wow.
her, but
I was
you were
shocked.
close enough.
Chris is trying to drop the microphone, but it's attached to a bowl.
It's just a pull. It's not a boom arm. It's a pull. We got.
I'm sorry, audio guy.
I'm just picturing when you say attached to a pole. I just picture that we like duct taped it to like a goddamn.
I believe that people would
goddamn
believe
spare
that with
mop
this
you had.
podcast.
All right. I will tell
Cody?
you. Yeah. So I am a bigger fan of the television series. I think the darkness and kind of the more grounded and time that you get with explaining Buffy's. She didn't even have a last name in this movie, guys.
You didn't.
Buffy Summers' character and going through it, and her always being the staple and kind of the chaos of the Hellmouth going on around her. I enjoy the series just a little. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You just
Yeah.
dropped a real reference there.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn it.
I enjoy
I
the
didn't think
series a
about
little
it for
bit.
a sec.
Super fan over
Like,
here.
yeah.
I enjoy the
God.
series a little bit more. But that being said, I have this nostalgic love for this movie because I grew up with it. It was a thing between me and my sister, but I can't let that get in the way of my review totally. I'm at a 2.5 with this. I think it's too
low.
I think it's a solid film, but I wouldn't go as far as these guys. Like
I think 3 is a better.
Three's a little much.
Like a 3.5
Oh, this is
would be
his review.
cool too,
This
though.
is his review.
What is helping this movie, honestly, is time. Like this movie is getting better with time because it's heading towards that cheesy, fun. Like they made this. Like this is kind of corny. Like it's funny to look back and be like, this stuff is corny, and that's what makes it fun. So that's why I'm going with 2.5. I do think it gets better with age, and I can't wait to see it in the next 10 years because it'd probably get even better. Because then Evan would be like, you guys dressed like that?
Yeah, can't wait
wore
for
that?
Can't wait for you to watch the TV series in the next 10 years. Guess what's not going to
Dude,
age? Those
what?
effects.
I've been watching it. I've been watching it still.
Yeah, I think like for me, it's more about it's like a enjoyability. Like I said, I watched it and then started rewatching it immediately after
It's
I
fun.
watched it.
It's fun, dude. It reminds me of like some of the movies from the 90s that I also like Encino Man and stuff like
Yeah,
that, where it's
exactly.
like that fun-loving, like there's no way a
It's
caveman would just come
pretty
back to
light.
life
Yeah.
after being stuck in ice for, thousands of years. That ain't
yeah,
gonna
you know
happen.
what, 1,000?
Yeah, about 3,000.
What's up?
Prehistory.
Yeah, that's when
It's only the year 990.
That's
No
when
one knows what
God
that
made
is.
the earth in 7 days, 3,000 years ago, right?
3,000 years ago, 7 days, right? Come on, guys.
1,000.
All right, guys. That is our show for this week. We got 2 shout outs to do, though.
Ooh, shout out.
Can I read one?
Before we go. Yes, you can. Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah, you can go first. I'll read the other one.
Pull it up.
I'm
Let
going
me
to pull it up.
Let me pull it up and I'll read it. Let me pull it up.
Let's go.
No tomorrow.
Chris, you'll be reading the Bro Festival titled one.
Is that the one I'm reading?
Yes.
Cool. Here
I'll
we
do
go.
a decent show.
We got it. Bro Festival, 2 stars by Morgan Alice. It says, my introduction to the show and potentially my last visit was the episode covering the Doom Generation. The entire episode is a bunch of hold on, sorry, I got to expand this because it's a long one. Is a bunch of bros yelling over one another and essentially mansplaining their way through the film. It's interesting to me that these dudes bring up Robert Rodriguez several times and in the same breath continue to bash Rose McGowan's performance. It seemed like they didn't even know who the actress was. Cherry Darling in Rodriguez's Planet Terror. Snarky, angsty, bratty vibes is her specialty and is usually the role she plays in most of her films. Example, Jawbreaker. We reviewed that. Making me wonder if these dudes even watch genre films at all. Their demeanor was so immature. They clearly have never seen this film before or do any homework on it at all. I feel like them harping on McGowan really turned into this bro out of dudes who are chopping this character down because she's stubborn, headstrong, and unapologetically herself. McGowan's character in this film is a great example of teen exploration, owning herself, being sexually free, making it a truly great example of feminism in character. Instead of going deep into the themes of the plot or symbolism of the film, these dudes squawk over one another over the insignificant points of this film. Again, McGowan's lines, execution, among other trivial points. I feel bad for the for the dude who chose this movie for this episode. He was truly trying to be critical and thinking and trying to analyze the film with his friends, only to be drowned out by a bunch of dudes who couldn't stop again squawking over one another about sex scenes and drug use, teenage exploration. All in all, it felt like a bro orgy of dudes who are extremely shallow and can't handle taboo themes in film. Dude who chose the film for the episode, make your own podcast. Escape the bro cult podcast because there are way too many of those. Thank you, Morgan Alice, for your review. We always appreciate the feedback and the criticism, and we appreciate you taking the time to check us out. So if you're interested in checking out the Doom Generation episode, you can go back and take a listen.
Well, I have a review here from Plastic Sword. Plastic Sword left us a 3-star review. Title of this is Decent Show, Horrible Outro.
Probably not gonna like this part.
Right?
Yep. Plastic Sword goes on to say, so I found this podcast a little while ago when I was looking for something new. The variety of movies they cover and the conversations they have are pretty entertaining. The hosts are all pretty good in the way they work together and provide great perspective on these wonderful, weird movies that I grew up with. All this said, though, the way they do the outros is extremely painful, as one of the hosts is literally shouting their Twitter handles into the microphone just ruins the whole experience. So, Mike, you're the only one with a Twitter handle, and he just stopped shouting into the microphone.
Really, Mike? It's unprofessional.
It's so not me.
We know. That was yes, and Mike, yes, and.
If you want to know where that comes from, just so you know, and we've been doing it for the whole 4 years here, and we kind of think it's...
Was there a back history to this?
Yeah, actually,
I don't think there's back history to
I don't
you,
think I
you screaming the word out.
I
No.
have ever known this.
I do have a back history to this.
Okay,
And-
let's hear it.
And,
Hear.
And believe it or not, guess what it's based off of?
What?
Professional wrestling.
Of
Who
course
knew?
it
course
fucking
it
is.
Of course it is.
How so?
Because I am a huge fan of Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho has a podcast himself that I listen to, and I loved the way that he would plug his social media.
Yeah.
It was always like the Twitter and like something like that, where he made it unique, yeah, and fun. And so when he was a wrestler, he would always do like this thing where he's like never again, or it would be like this long, like drawn out, like annoying thing that would just piss people off. But I somehow found it charming.
And we're diving deeper into
I don't
the
know
psyche
that-
of Cody Everett.
Again! Like that, like he would do. So that's where I got
I
Just
feel like
that.
you are almost doing it more so now to see the reactions on our faces right
now,
before.
yeah, now it's like
See me
how can I
quick-
pop?
Can I
the
tell
See
you?
me
Like,
quickly
I thought it
fiddle
was going
the
to be
knobs.
something like I noticed that the guys would like lose interest towards the end.
Also, though, Plastosaurus.
so I would scream at them so that they would wake back up. And
Also,
give us the Twitter
Plastosaurus.
handle.
I just want to say this. Thank you for listening all the way to the end of the episode.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
yeah, most people don't get that far.
Yeah.
Or this far.
You've made it this far. So you've made it a lot longer than most.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate the review. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the reviews for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
keep them coming, guys, because if you do, we'll give you a shout out at the end of the show like we just did. Then head over to cultfilmandreview.com. Make sure you get in your request for films for us to review, and then pick up a t-shirt also while you're there. July 5th, which is tomorrow, Film Bar. Make sure you're there for that. Next week, make sure you tune in live on our YouTube page for Mike talking about The Night Porter. What else do we have? Anything else?
7:30 Pacific Standard Time for that.
There you go for that.
T-shirts.
T-shirts, get those.
7:30.
And it's just Mike with a t-shirt gun, just shooting it into his laptop.
Shooting his laptop. Mike, I don't think it's working.
I can't reach that far.
And then when you're done with that, you can follow Kyle.
Really put some guttural into that.
Yeah, that
you
was
can
good.
follow me on Instagram at cultfilm_Kyle.
You can follow Chris.
Cultfilm_Chris on Instagram.
And you can follow Mike.
At Mike Salustio on Twitter.
And you can follow me at VHS Collect on Instagram and Snapchat. That's our show for this week. Remember, if you're going to join a cult, make sure they watch good movies. We'll see you next time.